but no one really has separated themselves. And sometimes it's hard as a coach when there's not separation, because players aren't sure what their identity is. Players aren't sure what their roles are when there's not an obvious talent separation. Now, did they have their obvious starting five and their six-man? Sure. But the separation isn't there, and potentially that's why they've struggled to win more games than not, as they're 6-10 on the season. But on any given night, this team can absolutely let it rip, as they are led by their two big men. At least that statement is based upon the last contest we had, as 6'6" junior Rocco Lafredo and 6'6" senior Marquin Johnson gave Labette County a problem there in the Tigers' cage in Fort Scott, as they didn't score monstrous amounts, but they sure kept Hudson Baker at bay for what it was worth. I mean, that's hard to do. He still scored 9, but that's holding him at bay, if you ask me. Vincent had 10. Joe Page, who we do not have tonight, had 12, as did Xavier Phillips. So Labette County struggles to play well and score without Joe Page. We shall see if they can do that tonight. Fort Scott, you never know what you're going to get from them. We'll see here in about 50 seconds, as the national anthem will take place soon after, as it descends from the rafters on the right side of Harrison Gymnasium, as everyone inside the gym rises to their feet. Starters have their tops off. Referees getting set to get in position and give fist bumps to the starters. And 8 minutes is put on the hovering scoreboard above the Grizzly Paw at mid-floor, and both scoreboards on the brick walls to the left and to my right. We're going to step aside for a 2-minute break and come back with potentially the back half of the anthem, starters, the scene setter, and tip-off. Rattled off by our favorite PA announcer in the state, Randy Blackwell, booming the microphone against the walls here in Harrison Gymnasium. Jack Leake with Isabel Redford on 106.7 KLKC, and I do believe we have some success on the YouTube live stream, as thank you, Lord, for giving us the benefit here this evening and allowing us to reach our YouTube platform. As starters are in for the home team, your Labette County Grizzlies, it's going to be number 3 of 6'4" junior Xavier Phillips, number 4, a 5'11" senior Trey Vinson, number 15, a 6'7" junior Hudson Baker, number 23, a 6'3" senior Matthew Boyle, and number 5, a 5'8" senior Griffin Eaton. For Fort Scott, It's going to be number 24, a 6'6 junior, Rocco Lafredo. Number 30, a 5'11 sophomore, Dub Chipman. Number 23, a 6'6 senior, Marquin Johnson. Number 11, a 5'10 junior, Spencer Goldston. And number 2, a 5'11 freshman, Dirks Kegler. Head coach for Labette County, Bradley Argabright. Assistants, Davey Brown and Brian Tucker. Head coach for Fort Scott, Mike Kroll. Assistants, Jason Young, Joel Harney, and Colin Downey. The scene setter coming up, and then tip-off on KLKC. This is Grizzly Basketball. Broadcasting live. Meister for 3 in the lead! Yes! From the studio of KLKC Parsons. Wilson launches another 3, and it's pure for Shelby Wilson! This is Grizzly Basketball on 106.7 FM KLKC Parsons. Unbelievable win! I cannot believe it! Free throw line, dump down Phillips, toe nearly on the baseline. Here's a turnaround missed by Johnson, or missed by Phillips, rebound Johnson. Here comes Labette County. Fort Scott with possession number 1, zeros on the clock, 7:30 first quarter. Kegler with it, bobbles, picked up. Vincent takes a gamble, doesn't win it. Backdoor pull up from the short corner, Lafredo hits it. Didn't see a lot of jumpers from the big men at Fort Scott. It was more or less just kind of on the blocks and pound away at it. But to see one fall for them, I'm sure has to feel good. Here's Baker trying to duck under the big fella. Johnson misses, fighting, and a foul going the other way. That is not what you want just 60 seconds in.
Yeah, as he gambled just a little bit too much on that play and ended up getting the over-the-back call.
Here comes Goldston, the point guard for Fort Scott, wearing red. White numbers, Labette County home whites, red numbers. Vice versa are the jersey color designations. Here's Johnson underneath, fighting for it, is Eaton. He won't get the jump ball whistle. Kegler in the corner, splits defenders, cradles, and it's blocked by Baker. Rebound Eaton. Here comes Labette County. Long pass up ahead, Vincent, and that's a block on Chipman of Fort Scott. That is just the first whistle on Fort Scott and the first on Chipman. Here's Trey Vincent off of a screen. He'll penetrate, spin, shoot with the right hand, miss left. Rebound Johnson, outlet Kegler, he's point guard. Long pass up ahead, that's a good look, the layup's good. That's a beautiful look as we get a fist pump from Coach Kroll just below us. That's a nice pass. Lafredo's got all 4 of Fort Scott's early points. Here's a drive from Baker. He'll lean, doesn't get the roll, and Goldston's out and running already. Here's a double team. Goldston flips it in. Johnson blocked. No, a foul. That's 2 on Baker early, as that's exactly what teams want to do. And Kagan Bates sheds his shooting shirt, and here he comes.
Yeah, that's just unfortunate for Baker, is you don't want your big man with 2 fouls this early in the game.
First free throw is good from Johnson. Second is missed, but a rebound is snagged by Chipman. Outlet Kegler, left wing going to his knees as he slipped was Chipman, but he gets it to his buddy. Chipman gets it back, foot of the LC, Grizzly paw at mid-floor. Here's a drive, a cradle, Lafredo can't finish, rebound, Boyle, foul going the other way on Fort Scott.
As these referees aren't afraid to call touch fouls tonight, so that'll be interesting to see how these players adjust to that.
Here's Labette County in a half-court set. Left wing Bates in the game for Baker, who has 2 fouls on him. Here's Boyle, top of the key. Here's a pass poked away by Chipman. Somehow he stayed inbounds, tight-roping the red baseline, gets the bucket plus the foul, and Fort Scott's going to the line to go up 8-0.
As Fort Scott has just come out and moved to the pace how they want it and have made a lot of key steals and are keeping the momentum in their hands.
And he can't convert. It's tipped around to the corner. It goes in the arms of Griffin Eaton. Labette scoreless 3 minutes in. 7-0 is the score. Half court set for Labette County. Drive for Bates, kick out Eaton. Here's a step back. He didn't shoot it. He loves to shoot those. I figured he'd let it fly. Here's a beautiful pass. Vincent giving it up to Boyle, getting lost on the backside. That is gorgeous offense. Here's a steal. Trey Vincent steals it across half court, inside to the paint. He loses the Euro dribble. Turnover, Labette County. Here's Kegler with numbers. 4-on-2. He'll take it and score.
As this is just very up and down play right now. Both teams just kind of taking jabs at the basket, but Fort Scott's the one coming away with the points.
Vincent drives, cradles with the right, and scores with the right. A little ice cream scoop and a sweet finish for Trey Vincent. 4-9, Fort Scott in front. 3:50 first quarter. In the corner, they're flinging it. Lafredo standing at 6'6". Johnson on the block, standing the same. Vincent and Boyle on those two respectively. Dribble handoff beyond the perimeter. Chipman is blocked by Boyle, catches it as he fell out of bounds and somehow found a teammate. Here's Kegler giving it up to Lafredo. Downhill drive, up, under, and a foul from the back on Phillips, as he probably should have just let that one go, but it'd be so hard not to try to block him. 2 free throws coming for Rocco Lafredo. The first is good. Cal Cousins in the game for Fort Scott. He'll replace Spencer Goldston, as Labette County student section is now overflowing into the aisle and the other set of bleachers connected to it. Labette County nearly lost the missed free throw out of bounds, but they save it. Down 6, 10-4 Fort Scott, 3:15 first quarter. Here's Vincent off of a Phillips screen. Little hesitation off the glass. Perfect. That is a good point guard right there, Isabel.
Yeah, as they're doing all they can to just continue to score without their big man, and it's been looking good so far.
They go right to Johnson, and he scores. Marquin Johnson is a matchup problem with Hudson Baker on the bench. Here's Phillips with the jump stop. Ooh, he almost traveled. Boyle catches it high post, kicks it out to the point guard. 3 point guards on the floor for Labette County. Eaton sheds his man, pulls back and scores. That's a pretty shot from Griffin Eaton.
Yeah, as he is so deadly in those kind of 6 to 10 foot range shots. So what a nice put back there as Eaton shook off his man to drain a nice 2 points.
Fort Scott 12, Labette 8, just a 4-point lead. Johnson can't make it 6. Yes, he can. He missed the lay-in and no one was there, as Hudson Baker has his right hand just kind of messing with his hair, looking down on the bench. Here's Bates, short corner, forced to pick up his dribble. Eaton, Phillips, right wing, head fake and drive on Lafredo. Near travel again, he adjusts and hits, as it's working both ways on the matchups underneath, Isabel.
Yeah, as it's Fort Scott's not necessarily playing that lockdown D on the other end, so they're still having to score to keep up with Labette County.
Kegler in the corner for 3, it's good. This is some good basketball right now.
Yeah, as both teams just kind of seem hot with the ball and they're enjoying moving the fast-paced tempo.
Vincent to the rack, plus the foul. Trey Vincent, unbelievable start. He'll head to the line to look for his 7th point in the first quarter.
As man, he's just performed so well in these early minutes tonight, as he's just kind of taking the lead role here and making plays happen for this Labette offense.
17-12 Fort Scott, 1 minute 30 seconds on the scoreboard, even to go in quarter number one. A couple Tigers check in. Number 5, Cal Cousins, 5'8" junior. Spencer Goldston back in the game. Free throws good, as well as Christian Peranto, a 6-foot-tall senior. 17-13 the score, minute 20 first quarter. Labette on defense. Lafredo on the bench. Johnson, the lone big man, in for the Tigers. They're wanting to go to him. Here's a drive and a foul plus the bucket. Wow, how did that fall? That's 2 on Xavier. As that's Peranto on the effort. That was a nice strong take, as Xavier had that ball pinned early in the motion, but credit Peranto for the nice finish. He'll make the free throw, and Fort Scott's up to 20 first quarter points. They lead by 7. Xavier checks out, as in the game for Labette County is the standout in JV, Dylan Johnson. Labette County with another try. 20-13 they trail. Eaton looking to change that. 55 seconds first quarter. Goldston on the ball handler, Vincent. Little dribble drive, kick out. 3 guards on the floor for Labette. Bates is the third with Eaton and Vincent. Johnson and Boyle. I don't think we've seen this lineup all year. 40 seconds. Eaton sheds a man. Floater strong. Fighting his Boyle. Saving his Boyle to Bates. What an effort. Labette saves a possession. Here's Bates. Kick. Corner. Boyle closed out on by Johnson. 23 seconds now. 20-13 Fort Scott. Opening quarter from Altamont. Trey Vincent holding it. 12 seconds now. Here's Bates working on Kegler. It's a set play for Johnson. He can shoot it. A good look, right wing, in and out. Oh, man. As rebound, Fort Scott, a long shot is no good. As Dylan Johnson, for those of you who don't recognize that name, he is a good shooter with a mature-looking release and stroke. Can't get that one to fall, so at the end of one, it's Fort Scott 20, Labette 13. We'll be back in 60 on KLKC Parsons.
Bowen Pharmacy supports the Parsons Vikings here, and here, and here. It's our goal to keep you covered. At Bowen Pharmacy, we give no excuses for you not to make it to the game. And it's always a great day to be a Viking.
Broadcasting live. (20-13) Fort Scott on top. 7:50 second quarter. It is just underway if you're just joining us. Jack Leak with Isabel Redford, Jacob Arati on the YouTube live stream that we finally got up and running. Thanks for hanging with us, Grizzly Nation. And probably a little bit of Fort Scott Tiger country as well. Thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoy the broadcast as Spencer Goldston gets a nice little runner off the left side of the glass to fall to extend Fort Scott's lead to 9. Barrett Heston in the game for Labette County. Hudson Baker still planted on the bench. Heston loses it. It's stolen away, but he gets it right back. What an effort by Heston and Eaton to steal it right back.
Because that's kind of that defensive effort we've talked about before, where they don't give up on a play. I think that's something both of our Lady Grizzlies and men's team does very well.
Here's Bates in the corner. Fort Scott trying to take advantage of a makeshift Grizzly lineup. but it's still a good one as this team's depth has grown throughout the season. Heston playing point guard finds Trey Vincent. As there's 4 point guards on the floor for Labette County. Heston could argue as a forward as he'll catch it in the corner, but then you have Matthew Boyle just kind of slashing. There's no true 5 on the floor. A deep 3 for Kagan is airball deep. It'll be Fort Scott possession. As Labette County has Joe Page in a boot on the bench on his left foot, Hudson Baker and Xavier Phillips sitting next to him. Fort Scott had 21 first quarter points, or 20 first quarter points rather. It's a lot to overcome. Fort Scott with another possession. Colton Rogers in the game. He's a 5'11 sophomore for the Tigers in red. A 2-3 zone for Fort Scott. On the floor is Griff Eaton, Kagan Bates, Barrett Heston, Matthew Boyle, a 3-pointer for Goldston off the mark, and Trey Vincent. The putback is missed as well for Lafredo. The second attempt is missed. Rebound Vincent trying to clear space for these Grizzlies. Underneath, they're having problems, Isabel.
Yeah, it's definitely something we don't normally see, but they're definitely having problems getting the Tigers out of the lane for the rebound.
Trey Vincent, lightning quick on the other end. Shot out of a cannon. Finds himself at the line shooting 2. He almost got the and 1 again as Trey Vincent has 7 points, looking for 8 and 9 right here. He'll hit the first free throw, 2 for 2 from the stripe tonight. As Xavier Phillips and Hudson Baker check back in for Labette County, they replace Matthew Boyle and Barrett Heston. As a couple substitutions for Fort Scott, all 5 on the floor in red for the Tigers as Vincent's second free throw is good. It's Spencer Goldston, Marquin Johnson, Rocco Lafredo, Cal Cousins, and Dirks Kegler. 22-15, Labette hanging around amidst the foul trouble and inability to win the paint. Goldston for 3, almost got the rattle in. It comes out. Here comes the Grizzlies.
Yeah, as Labette County just keeps itching closer to a larger deficit, but they're continuing to battle here as Trey Vincent's going to airball a layup.
Nice little move, though, from Trey. Kind of a turnaround, a hook. Not a bad look for Trey. In the corner, a 3-pointer's put up by Lafredo. He misses it deep, and a foul as Cousins was flying in and ran into Phillips on the short corner along the baseline. And Coach Kroll is halfway on the court trying to signal timeout, and he'll get it. So with 5:07 to go, second quarter, Labette down 15-22. It's just 30. We'll keep it here and remind everyone tonight's broadcast is powered by Labette Health. Invite you to stay tuned for our eye care associates at Parsons, Doctors Gilmore, Newland, and Ray halftime show, and a few other sponsors include.
Other sponsors for tonight's game include Labette Community College, Forbes Hoffman Funeral Homes, Clements Insurance Agency, Labette Health, Woodworth Enterprises, Herman Lumber, Carson Wall Funeral Homes, Commercial Bank, Eye Care Associates of Parsons, the Labette Bank, the Bartlett Co-op, Labette Center for Mental Health Services, Community National Bank, Tank Connection, Wood Insurance Center, Unified School District of USD 506, the Corner Store of Altamont, Dan Zimmerman, and SEK Orthopedic.
As amidst everything that's happened, you had to withstand a 20-point first quarter from Fort Scott. Hudson Baker, Xavier Phillips on the bench with 2 fouls apiece. They're in the game now, but you're only down 7, Isabel. You can't complain if you're a Labette County fan. Kagan Bates flips one with the right hand all the way across the court to Phillips, who comes down out of bounds, as that was a quarterback throwing it to his receiver. As I'm not a fan in any way of those like corner to corner, just one-arm hurls. Those are hard to win.
Yeah, I mean, it's going through a lot of defenders, and then you got to make sure your man is in the right place or doesn't move because that ball has a lot of air time.
Right.
As we just see another one right there get thrown out of bounds from Fort Scott.
Unfortunately, Trey, with his probably very high vertical, got a finger on it, so it stays with Fort Scott. But yeah, they're like that wasn't a completed pass. It was not successful. They're so hard, as a lot of times you see those go into the hands of a dance team on the stands or a student section. They're just hard to do. So here's Fort Scott, 4:20 second quarter, 15-22 Tigers. Baseline drive, Goldston gets caught in the air and stepped out of bounds. It'll be LC basketball.
As that was the right idea by Goldston, just unfortunate as he stepped on the line there.
Labette County with it, down just 7, getting defensive stops but struggling to score. Here's Baker in the short corner. I'm sure they'd like to get him going. He'll penetrate with the left. It's good. It's good to see Hudson Baker crack the ice that was layered upon that rim.
Yeah, as they definitely missed it having him.
Just a 5-point game, Isabel.
Yeah, this next 3 minutes will be huge.
Cousins gets Baker in the air. Leaning floater is good. That's pretty from Cal Cousins.
As he did that so effortlessly,
Yeah.
It seemed like he didn't really have to try, as he just gave it a nice little kiss and it went right in the hoop.
24-17, immediately the lead back to 7 for Fort Scott. 3:20 second quarter, Labette with the rock. Here's a backdoor. Phillips wasn't seen by Vincent. Vincent takes Goldston, leans, shoots, misses badly. Rebound Johnson. I think Trey was totally reliant upon a whistle.
Yeah,
Here's a long pass to Chipman. Short jumper. Oh, that's basket interference on Johnson. I think that was going to go in, Isabel.
Yeah, I think it was.
I don't think Johnson needed to do that.
No, it might have almost been more of a reaction on Johnson's part,
Yeah.
as he thought it was going to go out, and so he wanted to try to get the offensive rebound, which is the right idea. Just unfortunate because it was basket interference, so that goal's not going to count.
We have now surpassed the 3-minute mark. Both these teams have struggled recently in SEK play, or I should say on the season, as Fort Scott gets a steal. Up ahead, they'll go, and it's going to be a backcourt violation on Fort Scott, as Labette County got off to a good start in the SEK standings, but now they're 5-4 in the league, just kind of in that muck in the middle of the pack. You can't really win it, but yet you still can, so you can't decide mentally if you want to still remain in that chase for the title or not. But Fort Scott's kind of been coming up the rear all season, but they have won 2 of their last 3 games. Here's Labette back with it after the Fort Scott turnover. Eaton with the give. Left-hand layup. Perfect. That's a nice high-low give and go for Labette County.
Yeah, that was pretty much a textbook definition of how that play is supposed to be ran. So good teamwork there by Hudson and Griff just to kind of clear the lane there.
Kegler nearly loses the handle. 2 minutes now, second quarter. Goldston flips it to Johnson. He'll pull up from the free throw line and miss it deep. I'm surprised he didn't take it to Hudson to try to draw his 3rd foul. Here's Phillips trying to decide where he wants to go. Gives it to Hudson. High post. He'll jab left and right. Go up. He's fouled. 2 free throws coming up for Hudson Baker.
As he has just improved so much this season on catching it at a high block and then driving to the basket. You don't always see him necessarily make it, but he does such a good job of drawing defenders to him and getting the fouls. So good work there by 15.
And he'll get the first one to go, hit the front of the rim, rolled around the right side of the iron, and fell true. Trey Vinson, or was that Matthew? I just kind of looked up and saw a flash of a white jersey in front of me. Yeah, that's Matthew. Matthew's back in the game for Xavier. Second free throw, no good for Baker. Lead is 4 for Fort Scott, close as it's been in a while. Minute 40. Kegler will throw it out of bounds. Turnover Fort Scott, as Kendall Holtzman's going to check in for Hudson Baker. And I'm telling you, we come early enough to see some of the JV games. Kendall Holtzman's a good ball player down low.
He definitely is. He's been very aggressive, and I've been very impressed with the minutes he's played there. So hopefully we'll see some of that production here on the varsity floor.
As some of the boys put some pink hairspray in
their
I've
noticed
hair.
that. At first I was like, am I seeing things?
Nope, they definitely put some pink in their hair. I talked to Trey before the game. He said he might do it. I think I see a little. Here's Griff for 3. It's good. Griffin Eaton gets Labette County within 1, and Coach Argebright calls the timeout. Figured it'd be Coach Kroll calling that one when I heard the whistle, but Argebright wants a timeout. Labette County back in business. We'll be back in 30 seconds on KLKC Parsons.
school sports fans, follow your team live with the free ScoreStream mobile app. Just download ScoreStream to get real-time scores, photos, and awesome video from your game and your rivals. Plus, follow your favorite teams and friends. Get real-time high school sports from ScoreStream.
Labette County's been behind all game long. It's still just the second quarter with 1:16 left in it. It's 24-23, Fort Scott on top with the ball out of a Coach Argerbright timeout. A 2-1-2 zone, Kendall Holtzman, the centerpiece. Here's a little pull-up, short corner is missed. Rebound Holtzman, and he'll smile, and here comes Labette County. Looking for the lead, Vincent putting on the works on the deck. And he'll have to give it up. Now he gets it right back from Boyle. 50 seconds. Labette throws it into Holtzman. Working on Johnson. The hook is no good, but he's fouled. And Kendall Holtzman is taking a trip to the free throw line to try to give Labette County its first lead of the game, I believe, right?
I believe so, as Fort Scott kind of came out and never let up. So this will be Labette County getting to fight back for that chance at leading here at halftime. As Coach Argerbright was so emphatic. There is Kendall Holtzman as he makes his first free throw, as he just kind of, thought about passing, but then he was like, nah, I got him, I'm going to take him, and then ended up drawing the foul. So great work there by 35.
For the lead. Oh, it rattled in and out, but Holtzman knots it up at 24 and applies some pressure on Fort Scott. As sometimes you'd rather be the team down, especially on your home floor, and gain that momentum rather than be worried that you're going to give it up. And that's what we've seen here early from your Grizzlies. Kegler right wing, 24 all, 23 seconds to go in the half. As here's a little foul on Holtzman as he took a gamble. Whistle was blown and he kind of winced and tilted his head sideways. Like he knew if he didn't get that steal, it was going to be a foul, and it was. Just the 6th-team foul, though, so that doesn't really hurt you at all, as it was on Kendall, who didn't have any fouls. 18 seconds, they'll pitch it in. Over the top in the hands of Chipman, it tumbles. Dribbling with his right hand. 2 leg sleeves on both legs. In the corner, it goes deeper. Lafredo, 8 seconds, skip past Chipman in the corner. One more Kegler, 4 seconds. I don't think he knows. Goldston knows, 2 seconds. He'll drive, 1 second. It's back to Holtzman. Kendall blocks it. Kendall blocks it. I don't know what I just said, but Kendall blocked it. At the end of the half, it's 24-24. Kendall Holtzman drew the foul, tied it up, and kept Fort Scott from taking a lead. I'm sorry that I botched that call, Kendall, but I'm glad you blocked that shot. 10 minutes is put on the scoreboard. As we'd like to remind you, we're going to be joined by head coach of the Lady Grizzlies, Brianna Vollmer, here after the timeout. We'll take 60 seconds and come back, and we'll hear from Coach Vollmer here on the halftime show. Gymnasium, where in our boys contest we're knotted up at 24. Should be a good finish for that one. 8.5 minutes till the third quarter, but for now we turn our attention to Coach Vollmer of the Lady Grizzlies, who joins us here in our halftime show, brought to you by Eye Care Associates of Parsons, Doctors Gilmore and Newland. Coach, you fall by 16. Lots of moments to be able and capitalize. Looks uglier than it was. Defense was great second half. I know that's a lot. What are you thinking post game of this one?
I'm a little frustrated. I think we work so hard in practice, and we work so hard to continue to get better and get my kids to play hard, and then, for us to not do little things like boxing out, that's one of the biggest things that we talked about after the game. We play really good defense, we force them to miss, and then we don't box out. It's like, making a cake, baking it, and then we get ready to eat it, and we just dump it in the trash. That's always the thing I tell them and try to relate it to, but we just got to do little things better. We work too hard to let little things like that beat us. We're some seasoned basketball players. I've got 3 or 4 kids that are playing travel ball in the summers, and these kids have played a lot of basketball in their lifetimes, and they know better than that. And so that's just something we got to come to play and work on. I think my kids played hard. I'm not going to knock their effort. I think they continue to play hard, down the stretch and even towards the end of the ball game. Yeah. It's just doing little things in moments, and we really never caught a break. We never really made a run, and then we'd have a silly turnover. We'd get a really good stop to play defense for 45 seconds to a minute and just have a silly turnover out of bounds. So it's just little things in big moments, and we can't do that against the number 17 in the state and expect to do good things and come out with a win.
Sure, as that was something that we just kept finding ourselves saying. The second chance points, I don't know if you keep them on your iPad or whatnot, but I certainly don't. But it had to have been up there for Fort Scott, as you're right. You forced that miss, so you succeeded in what you wanted to do, but there's a couple more steps to that, getting the miss.
Yes.
And so I don't want to rehash what you just said, but you were successful through the first couple steps of your defensive series. So the defense was good enough to force the initial miss. We were really impressed with the defense, and Landry O'Brien in particular was giving them fits in the full court as this game was close late second quarter, kind of like at Fort Scott. It was a 4-point game late third quarter, and they go on a 5-0 run just like that. Similar to tonight, how do you talk to your girls after they go on a look at?
It's hard, and it's hard to get kids past that, but I think with high school, you have to break it down into simple things, and to me it's silly for us to be down 10 to a really good team, and all we have to talk about is boxing out. Like, come on, that's so silly to me. So I mean, when we break it down like that, we talked about 2 things at halftime. We talked about Yarrick, and she only had 1 field goal in the second half. She had some free throws past that. And then, boxing out, it got a tiny bit better. I think we stick with the zone. I thought maybe it would have put us in a better position to box out and go get boards, and then kind of in scramble mode again towards the end of the game. But we just keep finding ourselves in those positions, and we can't do that. Like, we've got to battle from the start, and, when we waste energy, in games before talking about what is our effort level right now, we waste time that we could be working on boxing out and working on one-on-one dribble drive, post defense and different things like that. So with a team like we have this year that's, very green and fresh, and I've got kids that, haven't been in these positions before, that's critical and that's vital if you're talking about an entire season. And, what do we spend our focus on when there's so many things to focus on? And it can't be our energy and our effort. And that's what we talked about in the locker room after the game. You guys are knocking on the door. It's just, when you get that effort there, now we got to know what it feels like to play that hard all the time and then execute when we do play that hard.
That's right. As your team wouldn't be a team I would want to face when those things all do line up. A lot of teams on a night when things click are hard to play, but I feel like even on nights where it's messy, we're still a team no one really wants to mess with.
Yeah.
We're scrappy. So that's always been there. But, you come off, I don't remember how many we score at Chanute. I know both of our teams had a hard time scoring.
We did.
34 and 32 tonight. I know that's lower than you would like, but the defense has been there. The effort on defense, I feel like, maybe in stretches not so much, but it's usually a constant for us. So how can the offense, is it a schematic thing? Is it our shot selection's not what you would like?
I think we've got to do a better job in transition of capitalizing on opportunities. It seems like, when we have opportunities in transition, we're hesitant, and then, when we're in a half-court set, then we try to rush some things too much. We've got to click on all cylinders and we've got to move more. They played a 2-3 zone, and we knew that they were going to do that. They've done it all year long. The press shouldn't give us fits. A, we press, so we know what that feels like, and B,
right.
they're really not throwing a big trap at us. So it doesn't make sense for us to feel rushed and throw the ball away early on and 3/4 court. And that happened several times to us tonight. We've got to fix that. And then offensively, I have a different style. I mean, we're trying to get to the rim and attack, and sometimes we get too deep and we don't jump stop and we cough it up, or we've got to work on our passing. Our passing's not great right now. When we catch in the high post and we're trying to look high-low, we either miss that opportunity, we don't have our head up, and we're not confident in our ball handling. So we've got to continue to chip away and keep working on fundamentals that, we talk about every single day, and stay the course. And we have a huge opportunity to win 3 ball games towards the end of the season. I mean, a huge opportunity, and that's vital going into sub-state. And we just got to take it one day at a time, and we're going to come in and work hard tomorrow. We've got to be efficient with what we do. We're at that point in time where legs are tired, sickness is here, injuries are nagging. So we got to take it one day at a time. I love my kids. I wouldn't trade them for anybody else in the world. We just got to work on some little things.
That's right. Well, Coach, work on those things, and hopefully we can get the win up at Atchison, and hopefully we're having a good, victorious conversation then. Thanks for coming up.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
That's head coach of the Lady Grizzlies, Brianna Vollmer, as we're 1 minute and 40 seconds away from the beginning of the third quarter here in an affair that is tied at 24. Before we take a 30-second break, I'll rattle off the scoring here for you. Trey Vincent of Labette County had 9 points. Griff Eaton had 7. Hudson had 3. Matthew Boyle had 2. Kendall Holtzman had 1. Xavier Phillips had 2. For Fort Scott, Kegler had 5. Goldston had 2. Johnson had 5. Lafredo had 5. Chipman had 2. Cousins had 2. Peranto had 3. At the end of the first quarter, it was Fort Scott 20, Labette County 13. And in that second quarter, give me a moment, Labette County had 11. And Fort Scott just had 4. I honestly did not realize that. Labette County put the defensive clamps upon those Tigers. 20 in the first quarter and only gave up 4 in the second. That'll keep you in a ball game, and it certainly did here in this one. We're going to take a 30-second break and come back with the second half here on KLKC Parsons. As we begin play in the third quarter, 7:48 to go. If you're just joining us, Labette County runs a backdoor lob and it's not converted. Xavier Phillips is who they were going at. Here's a pass inside. Johnson is harassed by Baker, and potentially that caused him to lose or miss that basket rather. It went in and out. Here's Vincent at the other end. That might be offensive on Phillips. Oh, no, that's on Chipman. Wow. That's the third on him.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I was just getting ready to say that. You don't want that, as he's a pretty good guy for your offense there.
They go to Baker, right block on Johnson, splits them both. Left hand is good for Labette County's first lead of the night. Hudson Baker gives it to him.
That was just nice duck under and just go straight up, exploding to the basket move there by Baker.
Here's a dump down. Johnson. Not much of a match for Johnson is Matthew Boyle, and it's knotted up at 26 again. Labette County with the ball again. Vincent driving, shooting, and a foul is called on Lafredo, I think. It'd be nice to get another mark on the big fella.
As Vincent kind of clapped his hands there in frustration afterwards, as he really wanted to make that shot. But nonetheless, he'll still be at the line shooting too.
Trey's first free throw is good. He's 4 for 4 from the stripe. with 10 points on the contest. Trey's second, good as well.
And that will be Lafredo's second personal foul, so just definitely something to keep in mind there.
Yeah. Chipman's playing with 3. He's a starter. Kegler has it, gives it back to Chipman. Goldston whipping it around the horn is Fort Scott. Chipman off the skip pass. No one's looking to score, they're just looking to whip it. Goldston has Baker on him as Hudson's at the top of the zone, maybe for foul trouble. Maybe coach is playing Hudson at the top of the zone.
Which that's smart, honestly. Get the big guy in the passing lanes.
Kegler drains a 3, as we'll see if that changes Coach Argabright's mind or not, as Fort Scott ties it at 28. Was it a 2? Had to have been a 2, right? They'd be up by 1.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Baker has it stripped away. I'll go ahead and put it down as a 2 for Kegler, as it would be 29-28 if it was a 3. Kegler looking for another 3 in the corner. It's short. I guess the last one was a 2. Here comes Eaton bleeding out in front. 2-on-2, bounce past Phillips. It's stolen. Kegler is a bullet. Here he comes. Euro and a foul on Vincent. There's no way that's on Hudson.
Guess we'll see what he calls here.
Yep. It's on Trey.
Which is what you want. I mean, you don't want either of them to get a foul, but you don't want your big man with 3, as that's Trey's second personal foul.
Kegler catches the inbound in the corner. A set play for Goldston. Takes it baseline on Boyle. Good cut off D. Left foot planted firmly on the red baseline underneath the basket. They'll work it around. Lafredo penetrating. Back to Goldston. A very patient Fort Scott offense. Goldston dives and kicks. Kegler open in the corner for 3. Good.
As he is on fire right now, as that's, well, the first one was just a deep, really deep 2, but that was a true 3 right there. As I remember him from the first meeting, and he kind of got hot at the right time for the Fort Scott Tigers. So definitely someone they're going to have to get a hand on.
He's got 10 and 2 threes on the game. Baker fakes a pass, drives on Johnson, scores on Johnson. Hudson Baker, even though Johnson's the same height, maybe an inch shorter, Hudson is pretty good at the game of basketball and knows how to use that body. Hudson's up to 7 and was hardly on the floor for any of that first quarter due to foul trouble. 31-30 Fort Scott, 4:35 third quarter. Here's a kick out. Goldston for 3. No, that might be a foul on Lafredo. The ref thought about it, but he decided to swallow it. Goes out of bounds. It'll be LC ball.
Yeah, it's definitely some of the student section was hoping for an over the back there, and they're not going to get it.
.4:18 third quarter, 31-30 Fort Scott. Here's Phillips, a nice bounce pass to Baker, deep post position, bucket plus the foul for Hudson Baker.
As that was a beautiful, just kind of back hook shot to Baker there.
Can't convert the and one play, but it still gives Labette County a 32-31 lead with 4 minutes to go in the third quarter. These guards for Fort Scott have been busy playing catch. Chipman rattles in a 3 on the right wing. We're begging them to shoot those, Isabel, and
we
they
are. We're not getting a hand in their face, and they're making us pay big time for that.
Vincent saves it to Baker. He's fouled again going up and will shoot 2 more free throws, the big fella.
As Labette County definitely saved that possession. As that was nice work by all 5 men in white.
Coach Argabright wants to have a word with his 2 senior point guards, Trey Vince and Griff Eaton. Free throws missed by Hudson. He'll get another try. This could get the lead to 1 for Fort Scott. The second is good. 3:40 to go in the third quarter, 33-34 Fort Scott. Cousins drives and kicks. Lafredo, the runner, and yep, that's a foul. As Matthew thought maybe he was going to get away with it, but he knew, you could tell by his reaction, he was flirting with the foul, and they did call it. His first and the team's second of the half. Fort Scott with 4. The first free throws up and in for Lafredo. Here's the second for the big fella. Good. 36-33. Fort Scott back up by 3 points. Lafredo checks out, replaced by Peranto. Here comes Labette. Vinson finds Baker. Boyle backdooring, running that baseline. Phillips on the left corner, Boyle on the right. Baker, the post on the block. They'll feed him. Working on Johnson. Still with it. Already took a dribble, has to kick. Here comes Xavier. His pass deflected, and it's going to be saved by Fort Scott. Here's Chipman to Kegler. He'll miss. Johnson's putback is missed as well, but a foul, and Johnson's going to head to the line for 2 more. As that ball was going to go out of bounds, but it hit the official and stayed in, which is completely fair.
And that'll be Xavier's 3rd personal foul, so looks like Coach Argerbright is going to keep him in, but send Kagan in for Matthew Boyle, and they're going to move Griff Eaton down into the high block.
This could get the lead to 5. Johnson hits them both. 38-33 Fort Scott. 3 minutes in the 3rd quarter remains. Baker catches it across half court to break the Fort Scott press. Griff trying to feed Hudson. Good front defense from Johnson, and it's tipped out of bounds.
As Johnson is definitely doing his best to keep Baker contained down there.
They're going to try to get it to Vincent. He'll lose it, but Bates is there to save the day. Baker facing up. It's swiped at and stolen away. Good hands from Cousins, picked up by Johnson. Now Kegler's going to pitch it up to Chipman. Fort Scott threatening. Vincent steals it. What an effort in the passing lane from Trey Vincent. Here's Eaton running it down in the corner. Here's a cutting Baker and a foul on the floor, either on Toronto or Johnson.
As it looks like they're going to get Peranto on the foul. That'll be his first personal. And I don't see who checked in for Chipman, but Chipman's checking out of the game. Looks like Cousins might have come back in for him. Or no, I'm so sorry. Looks like Rogers checked in for him.
They're going to go to Vince, and he'll miss the right-hand hook. Labette County struggling to chip away at that 5-point lead. As indeed Rogers is in the ball game. Finds Kegler. Peranto drives, cradles, blocked by Baker against the glass. It flies out, though, in the hands of the Tiger. Cousins gives it up, another drive, a swipe, and a travel is called on Rogers. Turnover, Fort Scott. As I don't think I disagree with Coach Kroll down here. He said it just looked ugly. He took 1, 2, 3 steps and shot. It just looked ugly. As I don't think he necessarily traveled. I thought it was going to be a jump ball. But turnover Fort Scott regardless. Minute 40, Labette down 5 with the ball. Phillips in the corner. I thought he was going to shoot it. He's been quiet tonight offensively. Vincent has it swiped at. Here's Kagan. He'll drive. Tries to dish, intercept. Here's Kegler the other way. Eaton the last hope, and he'll make the left-hand layup. Fort Scott goes up 7 with a minute 20 left in the 3rd quarter.
That is not what you want if you're Labette County. Is you got to keep this game close. You don't want a team to run away with the game this late.
Minute 13, Labette with another try. Fort Scott's defense has been hard for Labette to overcome as Baker was getting ready to go up and easily score, but he was fouled on the way up. And did he just signal that's on the floor?
Yeah, he signaled on the floor.
Wow. Wow. That's the first on Rogers and the 6th on Fort Scott. Barrett Heston checks in for Kagan Bates. Xavier Phillips to inbound, holds it with his right, slaps the ball with his left hand. Eaton in the corner for three, we need it, and he delivers! Kagan Bates dropping off the three-point package at the front door of Bradley Argabright's doorstep. And he calls a timeout. 40-36, Fort Scott on top. We'll return in 30 seconds on KLKC. Been a long third quarter. Decent amount of scoring taking place for the squads as Griffin Eaton just nailed a big three-pointer. As Griff Eaton now has 10 points, Isabel. Labette's down just 4.
Yeah, and like we kind of talked about earlier, they needed to do something here. You can't let Fort Scott stretch the lead out any further. And Griff Eaton seemed to answer.
Cousins will spin right to left. He's met by Vincent and forced to give it up. Rogers is met by Baker. He'll turn around out of that and pitch it. Pronto gives to Kegler as you have Goldston on the bench. Lafredo on the bench, as well as Chipman, but underneath Johnson easily scores on the glass.
Yeah, as that was a good play there as they got Baker to bite and leave that block open, as that was just a perfect pass into Lafredo for him to score, or Johnson, excuse me.
Barrett Heston with the ball, finds Trey Vincent. Those two well beyond the arc, just kind of facilitating with 13 seconds to go in the third quarter. Labette down 6. We're going to have to get going here. 7 seconds, Trey in a little bit of isolation. A set play for Griff, top of the key, a decent look, good! He drills it, clenches his left fist and smiles towards his bench. High fives all around for the senior PG. That's a big time shot by Griff Eaton to cut the Fort Scott lead in half. 42-39 Tigers going into the fourth. We'll be back in 1 minute on KLKC.
Everybody is different. Some get injured, while others simply wear down. Whether it's on the court, on the field, or at the gym, Labette Health's orthopedic and sports medicine team has the training and skill to repair, restore, and renew. We share the same goal, and together we'll write your comeback story. For more information about Southeast Kansas' leading orthopedic and sports medicine team, go to labettehealth.com.
Labette County 39, Fort Scott 42. Griffin Eaton with a big answer. A three-pointer off the set play, screens at the top of the key to make it a three-point game. Labette needed it. Kegler looking to hit him right back, misses it. Rebound Johnson, he'll hit the deck, and a travel on Johnson is called.
As Labette County got lucky there, as Johnson just kind of had his feet stumble out from underneath him, but Fort Scott's definitely been capitalizing on second chance points, so.
Fort Scott outscored Labette County 18-15 in that third quarter. It was tied at halftime. It's been a good game all around here in Altamont. Here's Xavier Phillips collecting. Eaton with it, a confident pull up inside the arc, he'll miss. Here's Kegler off the board. Kegler gives it up to Chipman. Lafredo looking to get downhill. He'll have to retreat, give Goldston, right elbow. Lots of ball movement away from the ball as well. Movement away from the ball for Fort Scott. Eaton trying to defend the driving Goldston and doing so well. Boyle harassing him. Long possession for Fort Scott, nearing 40 seconds. Here's Kegler, turn and kick. Here's a drive from Chipman. Left-hand shot is blocked, but then there was a foul as he came back down to the ground. It was one of those body fouls. And after all of that, Chipman will shoot 2 free throws.
As that'll unfortunately be called on number 15, Hudson Baker, so that'll be his 3rd personal foul.
Chipman's first is in and out. Oh, man. Wow.
As that ball wanted to go in so bad.
Second free throw is good for Chipman. He's got 6 on the night. That was his first trip to the free throw line. It's 43-39 Fort Scott. 6:37, fourth quarter. They're going to go high post to Baker. Hand off to Vincent. Kick, Boyle, corner 3, off the mark. Crashing is Vincent. He can't win it. Chipman, he's quick. Good pass, Lafredo. Layup is missed. Chipman is there. Put back is missed. It's tipped out. Here's Phillips. Xavier the other way. Gives it up to Vincent. He'll slow down. Look for a lane. He finds one. Right-hand shot is no good, but he is fouled. And Trey will shoot a pair.
That was great work by Trey there to make something happen out of the transition offense, as it could have been easy to put up a miscalculated shot or, kind of a momentum 3 just to try to swing, but very wise shot selection by there, just taking it to the basket and getting the foul.
Trey misses the first and makes the second. That was his first miss from the free throw line. Labette County's first point of the fourth quarter. Fort Scott just was one as well. 6 minutes to go in the game, 43-40, Fort Scott. Here's some movement. Kegler in the corner, closed out on by Trey. Eaton trying to force the jump ball. Goldston will drive. Nothing there. Man, these are just long, strategic possessions for Fort Scott.
Yeah, as they're just working and continuing to drive, but give credit to the Grizzly defense as they're just jamming the lanes.
Kegler wants to drive Goldston in the corner. Pulls it belt high. It's tipped. His pass stolen by Phillips. The other way. He's not fouled, I guess. Stripped cleanly by Chipman. And I'm sure it was clean, but usually that's a foul. Labette already underway, throwing it into Baker over the top. Phillips comes to get it. Labette's down 3. He's got an open lane, and he loses it out of bounds. They're going to say it was stripped by, is that Chipman again? Wow, it is. Chipman is active on the defensive end of the floor. Another try for Labette off the inbound. Phillips, right wing, deep. Eaton in the corner for the tie. Yeah!
Man, he's on fire tonight.
His 4th three-pointer of the game, a full timeout from Coach Argabright. We're tied at 43, 5:11 to go. Don't go anywhere. A classic barn burner in the SEK is on tap from Altamont. We'll talk to you in 1 minute on KLKC Parsons. It's 43-all here in Altamont. Fort Scott, the visitors of your Grizzlies. Griffin Eaton just knocked down his fourth three-pointer of the game. He's got 16 on the night. Fort Scott will have it. 5 minutes and counting left in the contest. Kegler with the dribble handoff. And another one here, Goldston to Lafredo this time. Kegler open for three, hits it.
As you don't expect him to miss, as he has just been all buckets here tonight.
He has. Eaton pulls this one down, adjusts from 12 and hits from 12, holds his form. As man, he is just shooting without thinking, as I like to say.
Yeah, he just looks so confident and natural tonight, as he has really helped get this team to where it is.
Yeah, he doesn't hit a shot. We're down 8 or 10 right now. Lafredo with the drive and kick. Cousins pounds it once, kicks to Kegler. He'll try to drive. Goldston for a three of his own, yes.
As he had kind of been quiet there for a while,
Yeah.
as I don't think he's scored since the second quarter.
Yep. Now Labette down 4 when it feels like we haven't missed. Neither has Fort Scott. Phillips with the drive. Wide open layup. Good. Pretty Euro step around Kegler and Lafredo's trunks, and he scores.
As they really need a stop here, as if they go basket for basket, they're still going to need some place where Fort Scott doesn't score.
Right. As we are down 2, you're right. 49-47, 3:40 in the game. Fort Scott with possession. A double team. Phillips and Boyle on the ball handler. Goldston just with 5 points. Spencer just hit his first 3 of the game. Here's a little miscommunication and a turnover. Long pass, Eaton gives it to Phillips, turns into Goldston's chest, and a foul is whistled in, and that'll be 1-1 for Xavier Phillips.
As this is huge down the stretch here, as Labette County will really be able to make strides and gains here if they can score points without time going off the clock.
Exactly. Xavier's first free throw is no good. Labette's got to buckle down on D. 3:20 now in the game, down 2 are your Grizzlies. Cousins, deep right wing, playing catch on the opposite side, Goldston. Free throw stripe, Lafredo. Cousins lets a 3 fly, misses. Rebound, Johnson underneath, and he'll score.
As he just had good position there, and Baker was just straight up. I mean, you don't want him to get a 4th foul.
Vincent for the response. What a feed. Boyle layup good. A nice feed from Trey Vincent to Matthew Boyle. Back to 2-point game. Fort Scott in front. 2:45 in the game. It's crunch time now. Phillips harassing Kegler. Nearly got the steal. Goldston drives. Bounce past Johnson. He's open and scores. That's just good offense.
Yeah, it is. As they're being patient, looking for the passing lanes, and in that case, they're scoring every time they're coming down.
Coach Kroll calls a timeout. We'll be back in 30 seconds on KLKC. (49-53), Fort Scott on top. Isabel, Marquin Johnson has been huge, quite literally in his physique as well as his production. And every time we've scored, he's answered, or someone else has.
Yeah, that's the one thing. I mean, that's exactly what we're seeing here is just teams are going shot for shot, and Labette County's going to have to find a way to stop them here. Otherwise, they're not. I mean, they're scoring, they're doing everything they need to do on offense, but their defense is letting them down here in the last half of this quarter, and so they're going to have to definitely get a stop here, figure out something, because the Fort Scott's just answering everything they're throwing at them.
49-53, Labette down 4, 2:30, and the ball. Here's Phillips, top of the key, right in line with the rim. Phillips penetrates, leans, gets position, and scores. That makes me think he could have been doing that all night.
Yeah, I know. The way that he was able to just penetrate right into the chest of the Fort Scott defenders was phenomenal.
Looked really easy for Xavier. Here's a drive for Kegler and a foul. That's got to be on the floor. There's no way.
Is that just...
As Argerbright's signaling, that had to have been on the floor. Because
he called it, he hadn't even started the motion.
Yeah, and he called one like that earlier where I'm trying to remember what situation it was, but I couldn't believe, as he misses the first free throw, that it wasn't on the floor.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That is, as Kegler misses the first. He shot well. Second free throw's good for Dirks Kegler. Lead is 3 for Fort Scott. 2 minutes left in the game. Labette with it. Vincent cradling the pumpkin. Right, left, between the legs, left, right. He'll step back, try to drive on Cousins, not there. He'll give it up. Baker, short corner, working on Johnson. Off the screen, he'll lean, and a foul before the bucket, but that will still be 1-1 for Hudson Baker.
As that'll be Chipman's 4th personal foul.
This is a big front end, Isabel. Huge front end. Baker got it.
Yes, I didn't want to say anything, but that is...
You're smart. You're learning, eh?
Yeah.
Second miss. 2-point lead for Fort Scott, 54-52. Minute 50 left in the game. Fort Scott with the ball. As Fort Scott scored a lot recently in this fourth quarter, but now we'll see if they get conservative, because sometimes when a team tries to sit on a lead is whenever they fail. So we'll see what Coach Kroll's squad elects to do. They're penetrating, but they're kicking at the end of every drive. Minute 30. Argerbright waltzing out onto the floor. Eaton in high defense upon Goldston. The student section is into it, chanting defense. Phillips swiping, Cousins gets by him. That's Chipman as Johnson wide open backside. That is such good offense.
Yeah, that was just Chipman made Baker bite, and we thought Baker might block the shot, but...
Here's a pass tipped around. Vincent catches it. Eaton for 3. Short, tipped around again. Eaton fighting for it. It's saved by Boyle underneath Vincent. He's fighting on the block, has to find someone, rolls it out, and it's Fort Scott ball. Wow. Wow. An entry pass was thrown to Baker. He lost it. It was saved. Then we lost it again, and Boyle dove on the deck, saved it. He kind of rolled over, tried to throw it out, lost it. Fort Scott will have possession out of the timeout. 56-52 Fort Scott with the ball, 49 seconds left in the game, as you just have 5 team fouls, Isabel, so we have to foul 2 more times before they're shooting free throws.
Yeah, so definitely it's okay to play aggressive a little bit here towards the end. You don't necessarily want to give up those fouls easily, but maybe take some more gambles, especially if you're a player that doesn't have as many fouls. It's not a bad idea. As you're only 4 points down.
Fort Scott to inbound. Surveys, they get it in. Kegler, and they foul. So at the next foul, Fort Scott will be shooting free throws. 1-1. That's the first on Griff. Chipman to inbound. Gets it to Goldston. I would try to trap first, and now they're going to foul. So Goldston, a good free throw shooter, will shoot a 1-1 here right in front of us. One and one for Goldston. Big front end. Few dribbles, spins it back to himself and hits.
Yes, he was very confident in that shot. He didn't really move from the free throw line at all.
Goldston now with 6. The second free throw to get it to 6 is good. It's a 6-point deficit for Labette County, on the verge of losing their 4th straight game. 40 seconds left in the game. Vincent crosses half court. They're really focused on it, getting Griff Eaton a shot here. He's closed out on well, and it's stolen away. Here comes Chipman. He has been so good defensively, and he scores. He has been so good defensively this half. Labette down 8 with the ball. Phillips puts it on the deck, drives, gives it to Baker. He'll lean. It's blocked off of Lafredo. It stays with LC. Man.
Yes, Fort Scott just really stretched it here in the last minute. As this 8-point deficit sure don't feel like it.
Just a slow bleed at the end of the game. Here's Griff Eaton. Bounce pass to Boyle. Open left wing 3. Misses it. Rebound. Johnson. And Fort Scott gets a big road win here in Altamont as Lafredo is going to do the right thing and not shoot the easy layup. Good sportsmanship there from Coach Kroll's squad. That's a good squad with a good coach, and they got a good win here tonight. 60-52 is your final score. Labette falls to 8-9 on the season. Fort Scott goes to 7-10. Labette falls to 5-5 in the SEK. Fort Scott goes up to 3-6. We're going to take a 3-minute timeout and come back with the Bowen Pharmacy post-game show of Grizzly basketball on KLKC. .067 KLKC Parsons. As I'm sorry, maybe I kept getting them mixed up, but Cousins is number 5 and Chipman's number 30 as they look similar on the floor, so I kept getting them mixed up. My apologies. As Labette County falls 60-52. on the contest, as Griff Eaton did lead the way for Labette County in scoring at 18, as Trey Vincent had 12, Hudson Baker had 11, Xavier Phillips had 6, and Matthew Boyle had 4. Kendall Holtzman came in, got a nice drive to the bucket, got fouled, and made one of his 2 free throws. He had 1 point. That free throw tied the game at 24 at the break. For Fort Scott, man, did they play well. And they played exactly how they wanted to. They got Hudson in foul trouble early, played through their bigs. Kegler hit some huge shots. Johnson led the way with 17. Kegler had 16. That's hard to overcome. Those are 2 good players. Goldston had
these kids to get some wins, and we just didn't get it done, but we needed to down the stretch again. For the last 4 games, we've been right there going in the 4th, and we're just not finishing right now. And I hope we can find a way to finish these next couple games and get some momentum going to the postseason. But I'm just disappointed that we didn't finish this one. I thought when we needed key defensive stops, we weren't getting them in that 4th quarter. We gave up way too many in the 4th. Had a great 2nd quarter, and I was really proud of our bench. That was a big bench quarter for us. But just didn't get the job done tonight. So we've got to go back to the drawing board, and we've got to find a way to play better defense.
That's Griff in that second half, or even he hit a 3 in the 2nd quarter and hit 3 in the second half. He got hot, but yeah, every time Fort Scott would respond. Johnson would get lost on that back block, and their guards are good enough to find him. So I know that he's a big, him and Lafredo, the big guys are a big emphasis upon the scouting report, but it's hard sometimes,
Yeah.
when they're going right at Hudson early, and they just keep going right at you the same place every single time. They're bound to get a couple. So talk about their ability to get those buckets late to answer, and also talk about Griff, who was awesome.
Griff really stepped up tonight. I'm really proud of him. Talked to him in the locker room and hit some big threes and really kept us in it there for a while. And I thought he played really hard on defense. So
he did.
I thought that he played as a senior should down the stretch. I'm really proud of him. I thought Trey Vincent was really good at attacking the rim early in that first half and made some nice passes too. Just kind of makes us tick when he goes downhill. But, credit to Fort Scott. They I thought their dribble drive, when they had that handoff, we just didn't do a good enough job of either switching that or getting through it. And they got downhill and then they got in the paint. When you get in the paint and you have to help, we didn't do a good enough job of helping the helper tonight. So, we got to go back and we got to watch our rotations and watch film and get it figured out.
As coach, in the 2nd quarter, I know it's a sample size and not the majority of the game went this way, but what did go right defensively as you hold Fort Scott to very minimal points?
Yeah, I thought our zone was at times pretty good, and at times our man was good. It wasn't always bad. I thought we played hard and we tried to get in some lanes and do some things, but, I thought it wasn't where we want to be. We want to hold them under 45, so just too many points in the paint tonight, and some of that's credit to them. So just got to go back, figure it out.
Yep. Well, Coach, appreciate you coming up. You go to Atchison Friday.
Yeah.
So
you guys are coming up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. We'll be there.
It's gonna be a long one.
It will be. Upwards 3.5.
It should have a lot of viewers. It might be one of those.
Hopefully their gym gets good internet. We've had problems with that. But
it'll be a long trip, and they're the #1 team in 4A. They're 15-1, so we're gonna get all we can handle, and we're gonna have to be ready to play.
Well, thanks, Coach. Hit that peak at the right time. There's still time to hit that peak.
Yep, there is. Hopefully we find a way, and we're going to have some good leadership down the stretch here to help us lead us through that. So a lot of basketball to be played, and hopefully we have a better outing next time. So go Grizzlies. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach, for coming up. As definitely players on this team can lead this team to that peak that we were just referring to. He needs players to lead, and we have those guys that can do that. Labette County loses this evening 60-52. The girls lost the first matchup of the evening 48-32. So both teams got swept here on their home floor. Labette loses 4 straight. They'll go to Atchison, as will the girls on Friday. Take Connection pregame show will be live at 5:45, tip at 6. As if you are trying to get that live stream and perhaps it's not working, we hope that it will, and we're confident that it will. But if it's not, you can always tune in right here to the station. 106.7 FM is the spot on your dial, or type in 106.7 KLKC on a web browser, and you can go to the program schedule on that and navigate your way to the play button, and you'll hear Isabel and I calling the game at Atchison on Friday. For Isabel Redford and Jacob Arati, who did our YouTube live stream tonight when it worked for the boys, good night, Grizzly Nation. Happy Valentine's Day. We'll talk to you on Friday at 5:45. Have a good night, and as always, God bless.